Welcome to the Visionary Sister Circle with Dr. L, where women become their own liberation. This is the space for healing, alignment, and powerful self reclamation. Here, we honor real stories, ancestral wisdom, and the courage it takes to evolve. If you're ready to discover your voice, protect your energy, and rise into your purpose, well, you're in the right place. Take a deep breath and come as you are. The circle is open. Welcome back to the Visionary Sister Circle, where we honor truth, healing, and the stories women carry in silence. This episode is for anyone who has ever felt heavy during the holidays, even while the world celebrates around them. You see, because December carries two things at once: memory and anticipation, presence and absence, joy and pain, and all are welcome here. And for me, it is a time of celebration as well as grief and loss. There's a quiet grief that settles into September. Sometimes we don't notice it, we just feel tender. We don't know why we feel so sad. We don't know why we feel full and empty at the same time. And for me, it is a joy because it's my birthday season. And I want to say something clearly. If you felt the heaviness of this season, nothing is wrong with you. Your body remembers what your mind attempts to forget. Your heart feels the empty spaces even when no words are spoken. The holiday tables are full, but there's always that visual of an empty chair. And love remembers. I didn't want this episode to be heavy. I didn't want it to be one that would carry more pain. I wanted it to represent um, the recognition of the season, but to also allow us the space to let go, allow us the space to remember, and allow us the space to heal. I'll say this. Recently, I attended the funeral of a young man who was just 24 years old. He was violently taken from this earthly realm. He wasn't my son, but I stood there as a mother because every mother stands with another mother when she loses her child, as well as fathers. I also have a very good girlfriend who lost her husband and then later her daughter in a very violent incident. And I use her as the North Star. I always tell her that she is the epitome of faith, and the strength that she demonstrates is just immeasurable, but it's one to study because she had loss layered on loss, but yet she greets each sunshine with breath that is still moving through her body. And I honor her. And in my own lineage, I know I mentioned in a previous episode my grandmother and one of my aunts that was murdered. And my grandmother buried two daughters, her oldest and her youngest. And her oldest was to violence, and the youngest was unexpectedly. But yet, she still lived, and yet she still loved. But the pain and the grief was evident, but she lived with it. And so, this episode honors these women and women like them, and women who are listening who are carrying memories like these. I want to take just a moment to have a moment of silence and ask you if you have someone that you've loved and someone that you're carrying this season. I want you to say their name softly now. We honor them. We remember them. We carry them forward with love and not weight. And many of you know I honor my ancestors. And so speaking their name keeps their spirit alive within me, and it helps me move with courage, and it helps me move with faith, knowing that I will rise and I will continue to evolve and heal. So I don't know, many of you, I mentioned in the beginning about December, closing out a new year, closing out the year and bringing in a new year. And I am very much into the spiritual understanding of universal years and their relevance. And this season in December of 2025 is closing us out um, as a season of remembrance, but also joy. Because as we stand at the end of 2025, which is a universal 9 year, we're closing a cycle of release, completion, and endings. Many of you just experienced Mercury in retrograde, and I know it was quite a period of transition. I'm sure a lot of people had used the energy from their throat chakras and said what was on their mind and spoke their truth. And you got to understand, it wasn't, and I will say this, for me, it wasn't a period of punishment. It was more a period of transformation. It allowed me to tap into those spaces that I had been ignoring, and those spaces that I guess, suppressed. And so preparing for this universal 1 year, 2026, which on the Chinese calendar, it is the year of the horse. So we're going to start off 2026 fast and furious. 2026 represents a new beginning. It's a fresh path. And so, for those of you like me who are embarking on new businesses or new relationships or redefining who you are with your identity, and maybe you're stepping into a new realm of clarity and intuition. 2026 is going to bring you some awakening, some moments of awakening, and you'll understand that grief and joy in this beginning of the new year are not enemies. They they work in comparison, or they're I guess you could say they are companions in evolution. And so it's important that we all remember we can mourn what once was and celebrate what is becoming in the same breath. And I know that might be a little challenging for some of us, but, and again, all of our grief and loss are different. And so we are going to mourn differently. But I encourage you not to stay in that space. I encourage you to move forward and push forward, because there are people who are looking to you to be the example. They are looking to you to see how faith really works and joy can come in the morning. Oh my God, my mother used to say that all the time. So I'm going to ask that we all pause and take a breath, just so that we can release what what needs to go, and inhale what needs to remain. So we're going to inhale through the nose for what remains, and exhale through the mouth for what must leave. Now, as I did in my past episode, I'm glad that you all can be by yourselves. So I want you to place one hand on your heart, preferably your non dominant hand. For me, it's my left. And I want you to say, with intention, with courage, I release what has ended, and I make room for what is beginning. Again, I release what has ended, and I make room for what is beginning. And so, with that, you're not leaving the past behind. You're just honoring it while you move forward. And I started in my last episode a little section where I have a journal prompt, and this will actually become something that will be a reoccurring activity, and especially if you will become a paid member. And I'll give you some more information on that later. But I want you to, but in your journals, um, and some of us reflect through prayer, or we just sit in some type of contemplative practice. Shout out to Richard Rohr and my dad for putting me on to Richard Rohr. Um, this prompt should be able to help you process what you're feeling in this space. And so I want you to use this to kind of generate some thoughts and feelings in your own time, in your own space. What is grief still teaching me? And what joy am I now ready to receive? And that's powerful because when you think about it, we're always looking in the past, right? Many of us, I'll say many of us, not everyone, but we have to start looking forward, and we have to start manifesting and really creating a life that is filled with joy, a life that um, we are looking forward to great days, brighter days, and leaving the past and the darker days behind us. So, again, the journal prompt is, what is grief still teaching me? And what joy am I now ready to receive? So, there's no timeline for the answer. And as I used to have my students in class say, write down what you're feeling. Just write, just write, and let your truth rise when it's ready. Because sometimes it takes a moment. It's a slow start, and then boom, all the thoughts, all the feelings, the emotions, they start to flow. And so whenever you're ready, don't rush it, because when we think about it, grief sometimes is a teacher. Oh wow, can't believe I just made that comparison. But grief is sometimes a teacher, and joy is the graduation. Say it like that. Joy is the graduation. Joy is the growth. Joy is the development. Um, and so I want you to really think about, as we move through this season, let's remember that grief is not the opposite of joy, but it's like a shadow that proves joy existed. It is love that has nowhere left to go, and yet joy returns. And sometimes it returns softly, like a memory that warms instead of wounds. And it is the wound is where, and I said this before, the wound is where the light enters, right? And I have moments where I remember my mother and her spirit, and how she would laugh and have so much joy during this season. And so that carries me, and it helps me um experience my grief and my mourning in a different way. And so I hope that your your memory, which sometimes can be very bold, uh it brings you laughter as you break through the tears. And yeah, sometimes that joy will come slowly and like a sunrise um, over a quiet horizon. Wow, I feel very poetic right now. Mm. So remember, we're stepping into a universal 1 year, 2026. It is a year of beginnings, rebirth, becoming, renewing. Um, and this is a moment to just release, to breathe deeper, to loosen the grip of what has already ended, okay? And to walk forward, not empty, not feeling like you're lacking anything, but walking boldly and taking up space and being courageous. And just know that we're all, grief doesn't have a timeline. I said this before, and we're all allowed to grieve, but still carry hope with us. And still carry faith in your heart that things will get better. And our loved ones that we have lost are still with us. Um, and it's important to still remember them. I don't know if anyone has ever seen the movie Coco, uh, but I happened to see it a few months after my mother passed, and wow, it was quite a release for me. But it allowed me to see the joy and to keep up my altar for my ancestors, to remember them and to speak their name and still allow the warmth that their presence brought when they were here, to still allow it to engulf my home and just wrap me in their love. And so I will, again, I didn't want this episode to be a heavy one, but I know that this is a time because many, moving from November and autumn and heading into winter, this is a tough time for many. But don't let it hold you down. Don't let it keep you hostage. Allow yourself to ride the wave and allow yourself to experience joy by sharing your memories and speaking your loved ones' names, um, because that is important and it is the best way for us to heal. And so I'll say, as I close out, I want to thank you again for joining me today, for choosing to be present, for choosing to reflect, and choosing to be truthful with yourselves. Thank you for your continued support and encouragement since I launched this podcast. And I hope that my new listeners understand that this has been a journey of healing, a journey of love, and a journey of reclaiming who I am. And so, if this conversation held you, if any of the anything I said, if it gave you breath, if it gave you space or permission to feel, I invite you to join the circle where we go deeper with weekly journal prompts, and you'll have access to early episodes and monthly guidance for the soul. And just know that you are not walking this journey alone. The Circle is a monthly paid subscription that will become available in January of 2026. I told you I'm going to be moving forward fast and furious. So if you go to my website at www.disruptivevisionary.org, please join the mailing list so that you can get updates and information on subscriptions, the upcoming um, visionary reset, which is a virtual vision board brunch. I have done this in the past, and it has been amazing, an amazing experience. I got a lot of feedback from women that participated, and so I'm doing it again. And so if you want to step into 2026 in community with clarity and intention, I'm going to be hosting on December 28th the Visionary Reset, which is a virtual vision board brunch. And we're not just going to be creating vision boards, we are going to be activating and manifesting our destiny. And so for the podcast, you can also listen to previous episodes and upcoming episodes on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music. And I encourage you to follow me on my YouTube channel, subscribe for updates and you can see past videos that I have done, the work that I have been doing. And so that is the Disruptive Visionary Alliance group on YouTube. But all of this information is available on my website. Again, www.disruptivevisionary.org. And so until next time, I'm Dr. L. I thank you for joining me today. This is the Visionary Sister Circle, where women heal, evolve, and rise into their power. And remember, the circle is open.